So what would I do first if I was thin or skinny and I wanted to put on some mass quickly? So the reason I'm wanted to talk about this is I get most of my clients actually, coaching clients or just people who find high intensity training and start using it. They're mostly thinner guys or skinny guys who've kind of tried everything there is to try to put on mass, and somehow they still can't do it. Now, I was recently talking with one of my coaching clients earlier today, and he's about 40 years old, I think about 155 pounds, and trying to put on mass. And very common situation. And everything he's tried in the past, from bulking diets to whatever kind of weight training program found on YouTube, nothing seemed to work. So it got me thinking, there's a lot of people in this situation. So what would be some basic things that you should start right away if you're looking to put on mass? If you're a skinny guy and you want to put on muscle mass. So it should go without saying, the first thing you should do is strength training. Obviously, strength training stimulates muscle growth. What type of strength training? It doesn't really matter. Whatever you can stick to consistently is obviously what is going to give you the best results. Now, of course, the high volume, high frequency nonsense that many fitness influencers and YouTubers promote, will it work? Yeah, of course it'll work. But the problem is most people won't stick with it. Most people don't have the lifestyles or the enthusiasm, or I don't want to say motivation, but the willingness to train 6-7 days a week for an hour a day. So that's where the biggest problem is with those. Do they work? Yes. But sustainability is a problem. So when it comes to picking a weight training program, whatever you can stick to, essentially. That's kind of where high intensity training shines, because if you're training very, very hard, like the way I teach you, it doesn't require you to go to the gym that frequently or for that long. But if you weren't to select high intensity training, or if you were to just do a traditional bodybuilding workout or a powerlifting workout, they're all going to work if you are pushing your body as hard as you can. So it doesn't really matter what you pick. You just want to take into consideration safety and time. Okay, so step one, obviously, strength train. And strength train hard. Which leads me to step two. It doesn't matter which protocol or method you choose. You have to push your body hard. Sound like a broken record here, but the science is clear. Muscle fibers are recruited based on effort and intensity. So step one, pick a training program. I don't care what it is. If you value your time and your joints, you're going to stick with high intensity training. But if you want to do something else, don't care, go for it. Step two, push your body hard. Okay. One of the last videos I posted was a 1993 training video from strength and conditioning coach Mickey Morelli, I believe his name is. He's currently the head strength and conditioning coach at Ohio State. He was a strength and conditioning coach at Michigan and Florida Gators. Been around a long time implementing high intensity training. And I shared the video and shared some stuff from that video to show you what it means to really train hard. Now, it was a good demonstration as he was taking an athlete through a workout, a University of Cincinnati football player through a workout. You can see, and I'll link the video again in the description, so you can see what training really hard actually means. And that's what you want to aim for. You want to aim for that level of almost agony and distress. You could see this athlete just pushing himself so hard, he's like groaning from discomfort and agony. If you're a skinny guy and you want to put on muscle mass, your body does not grow muscle easily. You are not sensitive to muscle growth. You are going to need to push your body that hard, the way that the athlete is displaying in that training video, okay? If you want help learning how to train really intensely and dial everything in, you can join my coaching program. The link's in the description, and I can teach you one-on-one. But look at that video and look at the level of intensity he's putting in, okay? So, and no matter what training program you choose, just aim for that intensity and then adjust the amount of exercise you're doing to accommodate that, okay? Just train hard. And, it should go without saying, train hard. But, of course, since social media became popular and the fitness industry shows all kinds of nonsense now, training hard has kind of disappeared for some reason. But, it's what I'm trying to bring back. So step 1, pick a training program. Don't care. As long as it accommodates your joints and your lifestyle and your ability to stick with it. Step 2, train hard. Step 3, it's not what a lot of people like to hear, but you're going to have to look at your diet, okay? Now, it's been exaggerated how important diet is for getting the best physique, okay? So let's talk about that. Diet. Your diet is essential for fat loss. You cannot, I don't care what anybody says, I don't care. It's basic thermodynamics, it's basic fat loss physiology. You cannot exercise yourself to a ripped physique. You have to diet, okay? And what do we mean by diet? Another friend of mine who's just getting back into exercise was asking me for advice. And he says, I'm going to really focus right now. I'm going to eat nothing but chicken and rice. And I'm like, you're almost there, but how much chicken and rice? Okay, simply eating clean or, eating less takeout and cooking your food at home is a good way to get started, but a lot of times it's not enough. You have to be aware of the amount of energy or calories you're putting in, all right? So when we talk about diet, if your goal is fat loss, obviously you need to restrict your calories. But when we're talking about diet from a skinny guy perspective, you basically can just hammer food, honestly. If your physiology makes it very hard for you to put on weight, including fat, you probably don't necessarily need to eat super clean all the time. You just need to eat calorie-dense foods. So you're going to have to pay attention to what you're eating in terms of course, calorie intake, but also the protein intake. You as a skinny individual can also eat more carbs. Don't be afraid of carbohydrates. Despite what the fitness industry says, in some areas of the fitness industry, carbs are not bad. And if you're a skinny guy, I'd be eating a lot of carbs, okay? You can handle them. You can use them. And intuitively, I think skinny guys need them. I think they need quite a bit of carbs, along with protein. Also, as a skinny guy, mild calorie surplus is going to work in your favor. Now, you've probably heard me say a bunch of times, a calorie surplus is not required for muscle growth, which is true. But that does not mean that a calorie surplus does not help muscle growth, because it does. Now, if you are an overfat individual and you've got fat to lose and muscle to gain, you should be in a calorie deficit. But if you are a skinny guy, and that's what this video is for the skinny guy trying to put on mass, you should be eating a slight calorie surplus. Maybe 500 to 1,000 above maintenance calories. Anything more than that, you're probably going to feel like you're force feeding yourself. In best case scenario, it's just going to result in more fat. Sure, it's going to be mass, but remember, more calories do not mean more muscle. Research shows that about 10 to 20% additional calories above your resting metabolic rate can be used for muscle growth. Anything above that, fat. Okay, so if your basal metabolic rate is 2,000 calories a day, you can eat about 200 to 400 additional calories for muscle growth. Anything beyond that, you're risking just adding a lot of fat. So if you're a skinny guy, use a calorie surplus. But do not be under the impression that you should be bulking, that more calories results in more muscle, because that's not the case. Only about 10 to 20% above your basal metabolic rate can be used for more muscle. Keep in mind, this doesn't necessarily mean it is, okay? Everybody's different. This is speaking in generalities, potential. So if you find you're eating 20% above your basal metabolic rate, for some reason you're gaining fat, well, guess what? Cut it back. Some people may be able to do 20, some people only 10, but keep in mind, more calories is not better. Now, what types of foods should you be eating? Generally, you should be making the sacrifice and taking the time to make your own meals. So that way you know what's going in. Beef, ground chicken, ground turkey, chicken, rice, white potatoes, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, eggs, even milk. Milk's got a lot of good calories in it. You can stick to a basic combination of these food groups and make a lot of different meals out of them. But the truth is, if you want to optimize your physique, you're probably going to have to stick to a relatively small handful of options unless you're Chef Gordon Ramsay and you have all the time in the world to cook up all these recipes. But if you're anything like me, you don't like to spend a lot of time cooking and preparing food, so you can stick to some of the essentials. Protein sources, like I mentioned, ground turkey, ground beef, ground chicken, any sort of white fish, salmon, eggs. And pay attention to the amount you're eating. For most skinny guys, I would probably recommend you're eating about 8 ounces at least per meal of these protein sources. And then the carbohydrates, the amount is going to vary depending on how many calories you need and pretty much how you can, what you can tolerate in terms of how quickly you're getting full. So some problems that a lot of skinny guys face is that, a lot of times when I talk to them, they say they don't want to be force feeding themselves and stuffing their face all day because they don't want to be full all the time. There's a way around this. Now, what I recommend to my clients generally is add things like grass-fed butter, olive oil, snack on things with peanut butter. These added oils and fats can raise your calorie intake without adding huge amounts of additional food volume, which will make you full. Like for instance, if you needed 500 extra calories throughout the day, what is that? That's, quite a bit of rice. That's, probably a pound of chicken. That's a lot of food. Or add 2 tablespoons of olive oil for 3 meals. 600 calories. Boom. So that's another good approach, that if you need to get a little more calories for your calorie surplus, if you're a skinny guy, how to get some extra without stuffing yourself with a bunch of extra food. So basically, that's where I would start if you're a skinny guy trying to put on mass. Use those 3 tips. Stick to them for a long enough period of time. Not 2 weeks, not 4 weeks, not even 6 weeks. We're talking 3 to 6 months. Stick to these recommendations for a long enough time to allow your body to actually change, and you will be pleasantly surprised with how much progress you can actually make with just those 3 simple tips. Now, don't look for ways to accelerate muscle growth or accelerate anything. Stop looking for the fastest way to get from point A to point B, because when it comes to fitness and exercise, your genetics play such a large role. What I just gave you is the fastest way. There's nothing additional, no additional supplement, ice baths, whatever stupid nonsense is in the fitness industry these days that's going to accelerate this progress. It all comes down to sticking to it, and trusting the process. Okay? And if you'd like my personal help one-on-one, I can coach you through this. I can help you with your diet, your training, teach you how to train hard. Click the link in the description, and I will be your personal coach throughout this process. If you want more tips, how to put on mass, how to lose fat, how to save your time and joints in the process, of course, hit the like, subscribe, the bell notification icon. You should be notified when I give you more tips like this.